is up, guys? EJ here, back with another video. I hope everybody's having a great holiday. Happy 4th of July, and everybody stay safe if you're barbecuing or seeing fireworks or whatever. So today, it's going to be another one of my top 10 lists, continuing on with my top 10 films of the 90s series. And this week it's the top 10 films of 1994. Very good year, because it sort of launched a lot of careers, and there's some really great films in this list. So counting down, as always, from number 10. At number 10 we have The Crow, first film directed by Alex Proyas. Absolute classic comic book adaptation about a young musician who, along with his girlfriend, gets brutally murdered by a gang of criminals. And a year later, he is resurrected as a sort of avenging angel of death. Tragic end to Brandon Lee's life while making this film, of course. The highlight of his career, bar none. Yeah, just a brilliant film. Absolutely love it. So dark and brooding. Great action scenes. Really sort of tender relationship between he and the young girl. The young punk girl on the skateboard that he befriends when he sort of comes back to life. Great cast, also features Ernie Hudson and Michael Wincott. Amazing soundtrack. I've had the soundtrack for years. So many great bands. Stuff like Nine Inch Nails and The Cure and all those type of really sort of dark and mysterious bands of the 90s. Yeah, just a great film. Absolutely loved The Crow. I have seen the sequel, Crow City of Angels. Not as good, and I never saw the third one. Couldn't be bothered, but loved the first one. Still a great film. Okay, number 9. One of the best action films of the 90s, and that is, of course, Speed. Directed by Jan de Bont. Starring Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, and of course introduced the Wildcat, Sandra Bullock. Fantastic, fast-paced, tense film about a mad bomber who bombs a bus and then puts another bomb on another bus in LA, and Keanu is the cop who has to stop it. Sandra Bullock is the young driver of the bus. So many great moments, especially when they jump over the overpass, and then when they get to the airport and get the video feed to loop to a full Dennis Hopper. Great ending as well on the subway. Yeah, Dennis Hopper, awesome in this film. Keanu's best, probably. I know he's gotten a lot of flack over the years because of his persona, but I really like him in this film, and I like Sandra Bullock a lot in this film. I did see the sequel, Speed 2, Cruise Control. Not very good, to be honest. It's crap. But Speed's still a classic. Okay, number 8. Another film that sort of launched a career, definitely, and that's, of course, Kevin Smith's Clerks. Awesome, hilarious comedy. Sort of the epitome of independent filmmaking in the 90s. Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson played two convenience store clerks who just hang out all day and talk. Well, Jeff Anderson actually works at the video store next door, but he's rarely ever there. So many funny moments. I love all the video store moments with Jeff Anderson's character. Of course, you got Jay and Silent Bob, Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. Sort of launched the whole View Askew universe. Where they went on to do Mallrats and Dogma and Chasing Amy and so on. Still love Clerks, still my favorite Kevin Smith film, and just a classic from 1994. Okay, number, where are we up to? 7. Another film that launched a career, that's for sure, and that's Leon, or The Professional. Either way is fine with me. I've always called it The Professional. Great film by Luc Besson. Great French director. One of his 3 masterpieces in the 90s that he made, in my opinion, along with La Femme Nikita and The Fifth Element. Love all 3, and this is right up there with those. Jean Reno, great as a hitman who befriends an orphan, played by the young Natalie Portman, who made her film debut in this and of course gone on to great start and one of the most beautiful actresses in the world. Very smart, just really a great actress. I absolutely adore Natalie Portman, one of my favorites. And Gary Oldman, of course, great as well as the corrupt detective after him. Yeah, so many great moments. Absolutely loved The Professional. Just a great film. Okay, number what are we up to? 6. Um, has to be on the list, and that's Natural Born Killers, directed by Oliver Stone. One of his best films, of course, about two vigilantes on the run, criminals in the Midwest. Woody Harrelson in one of his best performances, and Juliette Lewis. I've always never really been a huge fan of Juliette Lewis, but I like her in some stuff, and this is definitely one of them. Tommy Lee Jones and Robert Downey Jr. Great as well. At the time when it came out, very controversial. The whole thing with violence and violence on TV and etc. Pretty tame by today's standards, I'd say. But definitely a great film. Great soundtrack as well. Also have that soundtrack. Absolutely love Natural Born Killers. One of Oliver Stone's best. Always been a huge fan of Oliver Stone's work. And this is one of my favorites. Okay, the top 5. Number 5, probably my favorite Tim Burton film, along with Sleepy Hollow. We have Ed Wood. Fantastic movie about the quirky director, to say the least, from the 50s and 60s, who's made some of the worst films of all time, famous for it, most notably Plan 9 from Outer Space. Johnny Depp, great as Ed Wood. Martin Landau, who won Best Supporting Actor for his portrayal of Bela Lugosi, awesome as well. We've also got Sarah Jessica Parker, Patricia Arquette, Bill Murray, Jeffrey Jones. Just a great film by Tim Burton. I know a lot of people sort of gotten tired of the whole Burton-Johnny Depp partnership, but this is one of their best, bar none. Also one of the few films that Danny Elfman didn't provide the score. Howard Shore does the music for this film, and it's great as well. Absolutely love Ed Wood. If you like movies about movie making, you can't go wrong with this one. Okay, number 4. Film that doesn't really get talked about much anymore, but it's a great movie about a great subject, and that's Quiz Show from director Robert Redford. Great film about the quiz show scandals during the 50s. Great cast, features John Turturro, Ralph Fiennes, Rob Morrow, David Paymer, Paul Scofield. Yeah, just a really classy, really good film. Of course, quiz shows sort of became huge again in the early 2000s. But this film about the 50s and their sort of beginnings, really good, really compelling, and doesn't get talked about enough anymore. Quiz show, if you get a chance to check it out, I highly recommend it. Okay, now on to the top 3. These 3 can really be in any order, but they have to be on this list, depending on your preference. So at number 3 we have Forrest Gump. Great film, of course, directed by Robert Zemeckis. Tom Hanks, amazing in the title role. He won, of course, Best Actor back-to-back years. This and Philadelphia, which was on my list for 1993. Amazing performances. Not a retarded man, but basically slow. But he does so much with his life. Amazing places and things he achieves during this film. But at the heart of Forrest Gump, I believe it's really a love story. He and Jenny, played by Robin Wright, amazing. That's really what I love about this film. Gary Sinise, of course, great. Sally Field as the mother. Absolutely love Forrest Gump. Great movie, so many great moments, great dialogue, and one of the true classics of the 90s. Okay, number 2 has to be on the list. Could be number 1 for most people. And that is, of course, Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino's masterpiece, in my opinion. Still my favorite Tarantino film. just a great film. Sort of reinvigorated the career of John Travolta. Samuel L. Jackson became a huge star because of this film. They played two hitmen, of course, working for Ving Rhames, and they get caught up in a whole bunch of different things. Uma Thurman, great as the girlfriend. I love the scene in the diner, the dance scene, the dialogue. So many great people in the cast: Steve Buscemi, Eric Stoltz, Harvey Keitel, of course. Just a great film. So many great moments. Every scene in this film is classic. Great dialogue, of course. All the stuff that Samuel L. Jackson recites, the soundtrack, everything about it. Pulp Fiction, definitely a classic. The film that really defined the 90s, in my opinion. I didn't see it when it first came out. I was only in high school at the time. And I think I was 16 when it came out, so I wasn't even old enough to go see it. But I heard about it like constantly that year in 1994 when it came out. I didn't see it till at least a couple years later, but absolute classic. Pulp Fiction, Tarantino's best, in my opinion. Okay, number one of my all-time favorite films. Number three, in fact, has to be The Shawshank Redemption. Frank Darabont's debut film, of course, based on the Stephen King novel. Just brilliant. Tim Robbins as a banker sent to life in prison for the murder of his wife and her lover. Of course, meets Morgan Freeman's character, Red, the guy who can get you things. Just a brilliant film. There's barely any female characters. So many great moments. Shawshank is a very special film in many ways because of, I don't know, it's a film that didn't really do as well as it should have when it first came out. But since then, I mean, since it's been playing on channels like TBS and TNT for years, whenever it comes on and I happen to catch it, I'll sit down and watch it till the end pretty much every time. It's a film I never get tired of watching. Great supporting cast as well. Bob Gunton, William Saller, Clancy Brown, Gil Bellows, James Whitmore as Brooks. Yeah, love the ending. It's probably my favorite ending. The last couple scenes of any film out there. When Andy strolls down the beach at Say Wataneo and sees, or when Red strolls down the beach and sees Andy working on his boat, and they embrace, and then it just fades off into the ocean. That moment gets me every time. Just a beautiful film, sort of the ultimate guy movie, but not in the sort of typical macho type of way. Shawshank is a beautiful, brilliant film, and it's my favorite of 1994, and my favorite film of the 90s. So there's my top 10 films of 1994. Let me know what you think. I don't know why I'm showing you like that, like I'm doing an update. But 10 really good films. Thank you for watching as always. I enjoy doing these top 10 lists. And until next time, I'll see you.
Bond. James Bond.